Hi, this is Jim Connor. Welcome to Game Changers X. Today we're in Tallinn, Estonia, attending the Latitude 59 conference. I'm with Henry Lappman of Fundwise, and you essentially have a crowdfunding application here that serves the European marketplace, primarily Estonia, some surrounding countries. As we talked briefly earlier, I think we're quite interested as US-based investors. How is the crowdfunding environment going here in Europe?
No, I would say that the crowdfunding environment is developing very fast, but the question in Europe is probably a bit the same as in the States. In the States, there's probably different rules in the state by state level, not only on the federal level. And in Europe, it's even more like that because each state is a country in their own, and so they have a more variation in the laws within the 28 European states.
So essentially, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Germany, Austria, they all have their individual laws, is that correct?
True, but obviously EU as such wants to harmonize laws so it would be more unified across all the countries. And what has happened is there's now a licensing process called the MiFID, which is one European acronym, basically meaning if you have a MiFID type license, for example, for your investment fund, then you can port the license to all of the countries without kind of going through the licensing process in all countries. So you do licensing in one country and then port it to all the rest you need.
Do you have the distinction of accredited versus unaccredited investors here in Europe?
Mostly no. There are some exceptions. I think Switzerland, for example, has it, although Switzerland is not in the EU technically. It's in the European economic area. But most European countries doesn't have this distinction. So it's you can be any people from the streets who says that they want to invest in the company and does.
So there is no distinction between an investor of a certain wealth level versus an investor who makes, let's say, 100,000 euros a year, correct?
Yes.
Okay, everybody's equal in that way. Is there a distinction in the class of stock between common stock and preferred stock?
No, it depends on the company. In small companies, it's usually like one type only. If any of you is interested in the exact state of crowdfunding in Europe, there's a very new report by the Crowdfunding Hub in Amsterdam, which studied all the European countries' regulations and differences of what's happening. And go to the Crowdfunding Hub site and download the report there. Which has a country-by-country overview of what's happening and the kind of ranking of how well the country is developed in this field.
It's crowdfundinghub.com?
EU.
Oh, EU. Okay, good. So let's go to your application and what you've done with your crowdfunding platform. And it sounds like it is exactly that. It aggregates or identifies a company. I should say it identifies the company as an opportunity that's open for investors that don't have a direct relationship with the company. Do people then commit funds, and do you have a minimum? How does this work?
Basically, yeah, there's a companies who want to kind of apply to become our portfolio companies, and then we evaluate them if we want to take them in. We have a wide variation of companies from like product design to tech companies to whatever, there's different fields from, I don't know, energy companies. And what we currently do is give direct equity to the investors. So let's say the company gives out 10% of equity to get, let's say, 50,000 euros, and so everyone who puts 5,000 euros gets kind of 1/10 of that.
So they receive a stock certificate then?
Yeah, they receive. We have the electronic stock registry here, which means that even small companies have it's a Nasdaq run local e-stock register, which means that all the users get into the bank account basically the kind of transfer of the stock.
Are there a set of disclosure documents that an investor would receive?
Yes, we require quite kind of stringent overview of what the company's history and what it does, what's the plan for the future is. And we also require them to report later on how do they proceed or what the key performance indicators and so on. But that's kind of our self-imposed regulation, not imposed from the law.
If a company falls behind in their reporting or simply doesn't conduct disclosure or distribute documents, do you intercede and become involved in obtaining documents and updates?
Yeah, basically we have the option, but because we are quite young company, we have only 9 months live action, so it hasn't happened yet. But obviously we have the option, so it has promised it to the investors and it is promised to us as a platform.
Okay. So, do you have some successful investments you've conducted? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think one good example would be electric bike maker, which is called Ampler Bikes, which was funded by us in December last year. They got over 90,000 euros from 83 investors, and after that they have developed a new product, rebranded themselves, and launched the campaign in Indiegogo in the States, and sold lots of bikes in the States basically, and got lots of good media coverage after that. So they have developed very fast in the next 5 months after the funding.
Great. Great. Well, Henry, I really want to thank you for your time. You've been very informative, and you're very well versed in some of the, in virtually all of the issues. And I want to wish you every success. And your website is fundwise.me. Is that correct?
Yes.
And your email is henry@fundwise.me. And I'll assume that you're okay if people have an interest to contact you directly by email. Very good. And you're here in Estonia, correct?
We are based here.
Okay. Well, thanks again for stopping by. I appreciate it very much. This is Jim Connor. Thank you for joining us for this segment on Game Changers X. You can follow us on our website, gamechangers.tv, Facebook, or Twitter. We look forward to your continued interest and participation in upcoming shows.